Today, the Supreme Court heard arguments from lawyers arguing for both sides of the president's travel ban. Joining us right now to break down the arguments is Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano. And I think we know which the winning argument is going to be.
I am reluctant to say that I know how the outcome is going to be, but this time the justices really tipped their hands. Judges and justices sometimes don't always embrace the ideological premise of their questions, but I think this time they do. I think it's clear to say this will be 5-4 to uphold the president. The 4 conservatives plus Justice Kennedy voting to uphold, and the 4 more liberal justices voting to restrain. This is not a vote on the wisdom or the practicality of this. This is a vote on whether or not the Constitution permits the President of the United States, on the basis of information made known to him by the people that work for him in the military and intelligence communities, to say stop to a given nation or group for a finite period of time. And the answer, I think, is clearly yes.
I mean, come on. I mean, of course. Otherwise, why bother having a president of the United States?
Well, look, the other argument is and I don't believe this, but this is their argument. He dislikes Muslims. Look at the things he said when he was running as a candidate. This is a Muslim ban. If it is a Muslim ban, there's a serious First Amendment problem with it. And the Chief Justice said, what do we care what the president says? We care what the president does. We care about this order he signed, not what he said to get elected.
Yeah. So it seems, I mean, I think to you and to me, and you know more of the legal reasons for this, but to be somewhat clear-cut about it, I mean, you've got a country, you've named your chief executive of that country, he's in charge, he is privy to information, Judge, that no one else is.
You have described precisely the relationship of the president with respect to foreign policy. Foreign policy is exclusively the president. That has been the public policy of the United States for 100 years. And an instrument of foreign policy is immigration. And Congress has expressly said in a statute, if the president wants to stop people from coming in, public health reasons, national security reasons, economic reasons, he can do it.
So
that's
what does the left do, by the way, when that decision comes down?
I don't think they'll be very happy. A, they hate the president. B, they would love nothing more than for the Supreme Court to say this is a racist decision and we're going to enjoin it, but that does not appear to be the case. They're going
to want to turn over the Supreme Court at that point? I mean, at what point does this stop in that they hate this president so much? Well. And I get it. Look, I understand, you know, he's not everyone's cup of tea. Understood. But this is an issue of extreme importance for our country going forward. If our president doesn't have this power, what does he have?
Here's what they will rejoice about as they are today, the DACA ruling. Unfortunately, there are 3. I say unfortunately because the best practice is to have one trial before one judge with all the plaintiffs that are suing. We had 3. 2 of them said he can't kick anybody out of DACA, but he doesn't have to admit new ones. The one yesterday, a George W. Bush appointee said DACA's available for everybody. Now think about that. He basically said that a public policy judgment of Barack Obama is binding on Donald Trump. It's not the law. It's not a statute. It's a public policy judgment of a person that's not the president anymore. I think that will be overturned. But this is a long-winded answer to your question. What will the left rejoice about? This is what they'll rejoice about. I'm not on the left, but I agree with the left on this.
As a business show, we care about the markets. We care about the reaction in the markets to something like this. Assuming that the Supreme Court decides the way you and I think they will decide in favor of the president having the power to exclude whoever he wants from this country at any given time, given any concerns he has over national security, I would think that that would be good news because it ensures it ensures a continuity for our country that is important.
I agree with you. It will be less disruptive. Look, it's got other problems. It's got a caravan arriving in Mexico on top of this DACA opinion. So not all immigration problems are going to go away. And this decision's not going to come down until the end of June. But it's fairly obvious which way it's going to go. You know the markets as well as anybody. They anticipate. They're reacting already to the oral argument that was heard this morning. They're not going to wait for the decision.
And they're pretty much flat right now.
That's how they make their money, by anticipating.
6 to 9 months out. 6 to 9 months out. Judge, good to see you.
Pleasure, Trish.